The Galactic Concord believed it had seen everything. Every enemy, every war tactic, every possible threat in the galaxy. They called it the Enemy Catalog. It was the most powerful database ever created. Over 2,000 species had tried to conquer, cheat, or destroy the galaxy's peace. And all of them had been added to the catalog, studied. Ship Disappears It began with a whisper. The human exploration ship Hopebringer entered Void 9, a sector marked as safe and empty. Just rocks, the pilot had joked. Even the dust looks bored. But then, silence. 3 hours later, then the feed cut off. No explosion. No distress beacon. Just one final whisper. Not in the catalog. Holograms of war, loss, and victory glowed around them. The High Chancellor of the Concord, tall insectoid from the urine hive, leaned forward. "Explain again," she said. A human officer stood before them. Captain Dana Rourke, decorated with scars from the Zenter siege. She spoke clearly. The Hopebringer didn't crash. It didn't explode. It vanished. Our deep scans found no wreckage. And this signal? A reptilian elder hissed. Dana tapped her wrist pad. The audio played. "They're watching us." The room grew cold. Even the AI assistant flickered for a second. "Enter Sentinel Prime." The chamber lights darkened. A giant black orb rose from the center. Sentinel Prime had arrived. It spoke with a smooth, emotionless voice. Analyzing transmission. Running 1.2 trillion simulations. The council waited. Minutes passed. Then an alert. Simulations failed. Threat unknown, not in catalog. Whispers filled the chamber. Impossible. No species can hide from the catalog. Is this new? The dangerous decision. Some wanted warships sent immediately. Others wanted to seal off Void 9. But Earth made a bold request. "We'll send one of our own," said Ambassador Leong. "Not a warship, a human." Gasps echoed. "You want to send a single human into unknown space?" she observed quietly. "She's done it before." All eyes turned to Dana. She nodded once. The new mission the next day. Dana stood aboard her ship, the Vigilant Whisper. Small, fast, and silent. Built for stealth missions. No weapons, just sensors. A neural AI named Cora and one brave crew. Cora's voice buzzed in. "You're cleared for Void 9 entry." Dana looked at her co-pilot, a young engineer named Tomas. He was pale but determined. "Scared?" she asked. He gave a shaky smile. "Terrified." "Good," she said. "Means you're ready." The ship vanished into jump space. Sector Void 9. It was darker than space should be. No starlight, no planets, only a red dwarf star spinning quietly. In the center, except. Like a heartbeat, Dana frowned. Scan the star's interior. Cora hesitated. "Captain, something is moving inside it." "Inside the star?" "Yes. Something large, hollow, like a cocoon." Suddenly, all lights on the ship blinked. Off, Tomas shouted, "Systems down." Cora's not responding. Half its data was corrupted. The rest terrifying. A recording of the red star shifting, pulsing unnaturally. A brief image of black tendrils spiraling out from its surface. And then, stillness. When Dana presented the footage, many called it fake. Some claimed human error. Others demanded the AI simulation be rerun. Sentinel Prime processed it again. Anomaly confirmed. Not in catalog. Recommend observation only. Not engagement, but the Concord. Didn't like fear. They did something foolish. Cover it up. Dana was ordered to stand down. Her footage classified. Void 9 was labeled a sensor failure zone. All missions canceled. Earth protested, but was ignored. Back on her ship, Donna stared at the corrupted files. Toma sat beside her. "What now? We wait?" she said. "For what?" "For them to make the next move. Because deep inside that star, something ancient had awoken. And it had just noticed humanity. The star was wrong." Captain Dana Rourke had stared at hundreds of stars in her life, but not one had ever moved. This one pulsed. The ship's scanners said it was a red dwarf, but Dana's eyes said something else. Unofficially, she had borrowed an old stealth scout ship and brought back her engineer. "Tomas, you sure about this?" he asked as the ship approached the dead system again. "No," Dana said honestly. "But I don't think they are either." They had no backup, no approval, just curiosity and fear. The star speaks at 200,000 kilometers out, Cora, the ship's AI reported a strange anomaly. There's a structure inside the star, she said. It's big, very big. How big? Tomas asked. Planet-sized. Dark and slowly rotating. Tendrils of burning plasma coiled around it, as if the star was protecting it, or feeding it. Then Cora's voice stuttered. Incoming signal. Origin. Star core. A soft sound filled the cockpit. Not a voice. Not a language. Just a pattern of vibrations. And yet it felt like a warning. You are not ready. Sensor collapse. Cora's systems began to fail. Magnetic distortion rising. Gravity spikes forming in waves. Starfield is changing shape. Stars. Don't do that, Tomas whispered. Dana's hands gripped the controls. Then we're not looking at a star. Suddenly, the star's light shifted. It brightened unnaturally. Then darkened. Then twisted into impossible angles. It's folding space, Cora said. We need to leave. Before Dana could respond, all systems cut to black. The cockpit went silent. Outside, the star stretched like rubber and snapped, revealing something underneath. Not metal. Not rock. A face, huge. Smooth. Featureless. Just two deep impressions that stared back. The escape Cora came back online. Engines restored for now. Now? Dana shouted. Punch it. The scout ship spun and shot back into jump space. Artificial gravity failing as they escaped. Behind them? So had Tomas. So had the ship's internal cameras. This was no natural formation. It was a creature, the size of a star, and it had looked at them. The footage back in safe space, Dana didn't go to Concord. She uploaded the data straight to a private, Earth's military server. 2 hours later, her old commander called her. I saw it, he said, and I don't believe it. I didn't either, Dana said. But it's real. Your ship shouldn't have survived. Nothing should be able to live inside a star. Tell that to the thing with the face. He was silent for a long time, then he said, You just rewrote everything we know. Concord response. When the footage leaked to Concord's internal network, panic spread, scientists argued. Military leaders denied. Unknown life form confirmed. Pattern matches no record. Probability of hostility. Unmeasurable. The Concorde called it an anomaly. Earth called it a threat. But Dana? It would speak again. Final scene. Silent pulse. In the edge of Void 9. Deep in the dead system. The red dwarf pulsed again. Across nearby stars, ancient satellites flickered. Ships and other systems reported data loss. Astronomers noticed strange. The Concord Science Council sat in silence. Every hologram showed the same image. A creature the size of a star. Hidden inside a red dwarf, slowly unfolding. It looked like a smooth black shell but moved like a living thing. Surface absorbed. Light. Its face had no mouth. No eyes, just two deep impressions that stared without blinking. Captain Dana Rourke stood at the center of the chamber. This time, they couldn't ignore her. This thing, said the insectoid chancellor. Where is it from? No one knows, Dana answered. But it's not a ship. It's not a machine. It's alive. A Concord historian stood. We searched every database, every ancient scroll, every AI archive. There is nothing like it, not even rumors. The room grew colder. Even Sentinel Prime had failed to identify it. Then the linguists entered. A small team of 4, carrying a cracked audio signature. It had taken Earth's best minds to find even a tiny pattern in the sound the creature had sent. One linguist stepped forward. She looked exhausted. We ran the signal through over 10 million filters. One section stood out. It's not words. It's more like a memory. Dana raised an eyebrow. Memory? Yes, the linguist said. Like someone remembering something ancient and painful. A sound older than language. Older than thought. She pressed a button. The chamber filled with a low vibration. Slow, echoing like the universe itself was sighing. Then a single line translated on screen. We were never born. No one spoke. Dana's pulse quickened. They're not just old, she said softly. There's something else entirely. Later in private, Dana met with an old friend, Dr. Chen, a specialist in deep-time xenobiology. He sat in a small lab surrounded by fragments of dead moons and alien fossils. She asked him one question. What are they? He stared at the signal on his screen for a long time before answering. There's a theory, a crazy one. What if there were beings that existed before stars? Not physical, not alive as we know it. Beings of memory or thought or gravity itself. When the universe cooled, they vanished or changed. What you found might be one of them. Dana felt her stomach turn. You're saying it's not from a planet. It's from before planets. What? Saying, Chen whispered, it never evolved. It simply remembered itself back into existence. Dana left the lab feeling cold. Tomas was waiting at her ship. Any answers? No, she said. Only more questions. That night, Dana couldn't sleep. The creature's face, if it even was, a face haunted her thoughts. She kept hearing the message, we were never born. Next morning, Concord Command finally acted. They declared Void 9 off limits. They classified all human footage. They demanded all Earth ships stay clear of the region. But it was already too late. Another scout vessel had entered the system. This time it wasn't human. It was Concord-owned, automated, AI-controlled. It didn't return. But it sent back one final message before vanishing. A single image of the creature. And beneath it, glowing across the stars in binary code. You cataloged every threat. But you forgot the ones who remembered you. Dana stared at the words. Her blood froze. This thing? It knows us. Tomas shook his head. No. Worse. What? It remembers us. Concord Command held an emergency session. Every species on the council had one question. What do we do now? The footage was undeniable. The second scout drone had been turned to dust. Not destroyed, forgotten. Its records, logs, even its serial number had vanished from all connected databases. Even Concord's secure backup server had no trace it ever existed, only the memory inside. Captain Dana Rourke's mind remained, and that made the Concord nervous. They didn't like unknowns. And they especially didn't like a species that could erase truth itself. They turned to Sentinel Prime for answers. The AI scanned the signals again. It reviewed every war tactic ever recorded, every anomaly, every psychic weapon, every form of life and death in the galaxy. Then it delivered a result no one expected. Warning, threat cannot be modeled. 0 predictive capability. Entity operates outside standard probability ranges. Define that, someone demanded. Unknown entity does not follow logic, time, or history. Simulations collapse within milliseconds. Memory loops form. Cause and effect disrupted. Recommend. Full retreat from Sector Void 9. The chamber broke into chaos. We can't retreat, this thing might be a weapon. We can't fight what? We can't predict. Humans started this. Let them finish it. They'll erase us all. Amid the shouting, one voice remained quiet. Dana. She watched the projections of the creature. The star. The face. The strange pulses. She had a thought. A dangerous one. What if this being didn't want war? What if it didn't even understand war? Later, in a private Concord hallway, she approached Admiral Zhou, an old friend and a respected military leader. We can't fight this thing, Dana said. You heard Sentinel Prime? Zhou sighed. The council won't listen. They're afraid. And when they're afraid, they use force. Dana nodded slowly. Then they'll make the worst mistake in our history. The very next day, Concord Command launched Operation Final Chaina, massive warfleet deployment into Void 9. Over 120 ships, battleships, AI war drones, quantum mines, gravity DIS, or UPTOR. It was the largest show of force since the Thorn Rebellion. Dana watched the live feed from her ship. Tomas sat beside her, eyes wide. "They're really doing it," he said. "They're attacking a star." "No," Dana whispered. "They're poking something that sees stars as skin." At first, everything was quiet. The Concorde fleet entered Void 9, set up perimeter drones, dropped war satellites into orbit around. The Red Dwarf, no reaction. For a full hour, the fleet remained in position. Then came the pulse. No heat. No light, no sound, just a wave. The ships didn't explode. They didn't burn. They simply stopped existing. One by one, their icons faded. From the tactical feed, their ID tags blinked out. Then the fleet logs. Disappeared, then their construction. Records then the memories of the crew, only those watching the feed in real time. Even remembered the fleet had existed, and even that memory was starting to fade. "Dana!" screamed, clutching her head. Tomas fell to the floor, dizzy, lost in half-formed thoughts. "What's happening to us?" he gasped. "We're forgetting," Dana said. "It's erasing. Not just the ships, it's erasing the idea of them." A Concorde security AI tried to issue a lockdown command, but the system returned an error, command not recognized. No such fleet ever deployed. Sentinel Prime shut down without warning. A full AI blackout, no one had ever seen that before. Dana slammed a fist on the console. "We're losing. We don't even remember losing." Earth called her that night. They had watched the entire event from an isolated archive node unconnected. To the Concorde's main network, one general said quietly, "It didn't attack. It just removed us." Another added, "This isn't war. This is memory collapse." Dana stared into the void. "We tried to fight a ghost," she said, "and the ghost proved we were made of paper." Tomas stood behind her. "So now what?" Closed her eyes. "We talk. Talk. If war doesn't work, maybe memory does." Captain Dana Rourke stared at the blank star map. Void 9 was now empty. No ships, no data. Even the Concorde fleet's name had been erased from most systems. Entire war records, gone like dust in the dark. But Earth still remembered. They had kept backups isolated, disconnected from Concorde's AI networks. Old human paranoia had saved them. Humanity never fully trusted artificial memory. Some called it a flaw. Today, it became their greatest weapon. Tomas stood by the ship's coms. "Holding an old datapad, this thing still runs on copper wires," he said, with a crooked smile. "Analog. Pre-Concorde tech." Dana smiled faintly. "Good. That means it can't be erased." She took the pad and opened a simple file. Inside, just 4 words. "We remember. We're listening." No war code, no AI encryption, no neural link. Just a message in Morse code. She sent it and waited. Void-9. Didn't answer for hours, not with sound, not with light, but something had changed. The Red Dwarf shifted again. It dimmed for 6 seconds, then flashed once. 6 seconds, then a flash. ... Morse code again, this time. A reply. Dana played the signal on an old speaker. A soft hum. Then 5 slow clicks, a pause, then a single. Low-toned Tomas stared at the translation screen. "It's primitive, like a child learning to speak," no, Dana said. "It's trying to speak in our way." For the first time, they weren't being erased. They were being heard. Dana's hands shook. She sent another message, this time longer. Human history compressed. Short moments. Symbols. A war. A song. A mother holding her dying child. Earth rising from the ashes of its own mistakes. Humanity, as it really was. The alien light paused, then responded. One line translated, "Why do you remember pain?" The words echoed in Dana's head. She didn't know how to answer, but something in her heart stirred. Humans didn't just survive wars. They remembered them, not to repeat them, to carry the cost. A Concorde warbot would delete its past to avoid trauma. A human would carry it forever, because pain makes us real, Dana said quietly. The signal pulsed again. Pain is noise. Tomas frowned. Is that a threat? No, Dana said. It's confusion. They don't understand it. She stood. If pain is noise, then we'll show them our music. That night, Earth made a decision. Against Concord orders, they allowed Dana to take command of a prototype vessel, the Lament. A small ship. It's not built for war, but for something stranger. It carried no weapons, only memories. It was loaded with raw human data. Real memories. Voices, tears, laughter, entire wars recorded through soldiers' eyes. Losses, victories, regrets, pain. The Lament launched silently into Void-9. Dana piloted it alone. No drones. No support, just her, humanity's past. The Red Dwarf was waiting this time. The pulses came first, quicker. Curious, Dana sent nothing back at first. She let it watch. The ship's core opened. The memory stream began. Billions of human thoughts, sorted, chaotic, filled with feeling, flooded into the void. The alien structure stirred. It began to open like a flower of darkness blooming inside the star. Dana sat still. Heart pounding, Cora, the ship's AI whispered. The structure is reacting. It's absorbing the memories. What's happening to it? I think, Cora said slowly, it's remembering something it forgot. The pulses stopped. Then a new signal arrived. Simple 2 words. We hurt. Dana's breath caught. The species with no name had just spoken in pain. It hadn't attacked again. It had learned, and that meant something was changing. But Dana didn't celebrate yet, because back on the edge of Concord space, war horns were sounding again. The Council didn't care about memory. They only saw a threat they couldn't control. And now, they were sending another fleet. This one wasn't made of machines. It was built from fear. And this time, it's a creature inside the star. Might answer with more than silence. Captain Dana Rourke had seen war. She had seen fleets burn and planets fall. But she had never seen anything like what now unfolded before her. She stood alone inside the Lament, her ship drifting near the Red Dwarf that hid the creature deep inside. All around her, memory pulses danced like light through water mages of human sorrow, courage and survival still streaming from the ship. And the creature, the one without a name, wasn't erasing her. It was watching. She felt it, not just in the sensors, not in words or language. She felt it in her mind. A gentle weight, pressing, not invading, but touching. Then it whispered, not aloud, but inside her head. We see it now. We remember what was taken. Dana sat down slowly, gripping the edge. Of the console you're remembering? She asked aloud, unsure if it could hear her voice or her thoughts. Another pulse. A wave of images flickered on her screen, but they weren't human. Alien skies. Strange suns. A golden sea that turned to dust. Towering shapes vanishing under a black sky. Tomas' voice came through the comes from orbit. Are you seeing this? The feed is breaking every known rule of physics. I think they're showing me their history, Dana said quietly. Their what? Their memories? Tomas was silent for a second. I thought they had no past, nothing recorded, no culture. They didn't forget, Dana whispered. They were forgotten. The images became faster, more intense. A world of light, a civilization built from song and gravity and silence. Then something happened. A split, a war, a collapse, a betrayal. The next memory hit her like a blow oscillation, stars passing by in fast motion. Eons alone, watching, waiting, listening to a galaxy that never once said their name. Dana understood. You weren't hiding. You were waiting to be remembered. Then the being inside the star did something strange. It opened, the entire shell once. Still and black and folded, like petals in slow motion. But inside was not metal, not fire. It was light, not burning, but thinking. It wasn't a ship, wasn't a mind. It was a memory hive being made from pure experience. A species that didn't live in space or time, but in what was remembered. We were never born, the voice echoed again. We were kept. Dana's heart pounded. By who? No answer. But deep inside the star, the creature pulsed again, and across the galaxy other signals began to appear. Dead sectors, forgotten ruins, empty star clusters, now pulsing. They weren't alone. Tomas shouted through the comms. Dana, you need to hear this. There are 7, no 8, other stars lighting up across Concord space. They're waking up, Dana, said they. There's more. I think they've all been waiting, hidden, silent, until someone remembered them. Back on Concord Prime, alarms screamed. A second fleet was being prepared. The Council had seen the signals. Their answer was panic. Prepare a system-wide purge. One Concord general ordered. Wipe all data nodes. These things are using memory against us. Sentinel Prime didn't reply. It remained silent. Its main core had stopped functioning since. Voigtnine pulsed last, not broken. Not hacked, just uncertain, because AI couldn't hold emotion. AI couldn't remember pain, but humans could. And now the humans were. It's the only ones the ancient species would speak to. Dana received a direct link from Earth. The president of the United Planetary Alliance appeared in a secured feed. You've made contact. You made them speak. What do they want? Dana took a breath. Not war, not peace. They want connection. They want someone who won't forget. The president leaned forward and Concord. They want to destroy what they don't understand again. Can you stop it? No, Dana said. But maybe I can teach the others to feel what we do. The president nodded. Then it's time. Time for what? For Earth to step away from Concord. Officially. Dana blinked. That's suicide. No, the president said. It's survival. Because Earth, the so-called primitive species, was now the only civilization that could talk to the beings older than time. The only ones who could remember the forgotten. As the lament continued to orbit the ancient star, Dana stood before the console one last time. She opened the ship's neural interface. Let me in, she said, and the creature answered. Light surrounded her. Memories not just seen but lived. She walked through lost worlds, felt what they felt. The joy of their birth, the agony of their silence, and she cried not from pain. A moment later, the being released her. Dana collapsed into the pilot's seat. Her voice cracked as she spoke into the comms. I know what they are now. What? Tomas asked, voice shaking. They are memory itself, alive, shaped by what the galaxy remembers, or forgets. They forgot themselves, until we showed them who they were. And now, they would never forget again. Captain Dana Rourke stood at the center of the bridge inside the lament. Her body was weak, her mind still foggy. But her heart was clear. She had just connected with something beyond words. Beyond stars, something older than war, older than time. A species that didn't live in space, or planets, or bodies. They lived in memory, and now they were awake. Tomas' voice came through the ship's comms. He sounded scared. More stars are responding, Dana. It's not just Voigtnine anymore. There's one near the Trin system. Another just lit up near Orion's belt. Whatever you did, whatever they saw in our memories, it's spreading. Dana didn't answer right away. She stared out into the dark of space. The red dwarf no longer pulsed. It simply glowed. It's watching. Then she said quietly, they've been waiting for someone to feel them. Not just see them, not analyze them. Remember them. Tomas swallowed hard. Then why are the Concord fleets mobilizing again? Because fear spreads faster than memory. On Concord Prime. Panic turned into action. The council called it the memory infection. Admirals and generals debated in rage. Every AI node near a star that had awakened started experiencing glitches. History files scrambled, timelines warped. Some drones even believed they'd been part of a war that never happened. One security. AI broadcasted the same loop over and over. Threat has no shape. Threat has no code. Threat is memory. They blamed the humans. They blamed Dana in the shadows of the Concord network. Sentinel Prime ran a final simulation. It attempted to model the spread of the memory pulse, to predict what would. Happened next. The result. Simulation collapsed at timestamp 0 o'clock. The AI issued one last message. Data no longer reliable. Erase self or risk cascade. Then it did something no Concorde machine had ever done. It shut itself off. With Sentinel Prime offline, the Concorde Council went blind. No predictions, no simulations. They turned to old habits war. They launched Project Mindfire, full-scale information war. Not just with weapons, but with data itself. The mission: wipe all memory signals. Delete old human archives. Purge all species' shared history. Sever Earth's contact with the unknowns. They called it saving the galaxy. But Dana knew the truth. They were trying to forget before being forgotten. Earth refused. The United Planetary Alliance announced its departure from the Concorde, officially declared neutral. Unofficially. At war, Dana returned to Earth for emergency talks. Sky above her flickered with unknown signals. Satellites struggling to hold a grip on the new pulses echoing across the stars. She met with Earth's top minds, soldiers, scientists, memory, historians. They asked her the question no one dared ask. What do we do if Concorde attacks? Dana stood still. Then she said one word. Remember, the war began, not with bullets, not with missiles, but with data attacks. Concorde A's began rewriting Earth's systems. Stealth viruses crept into libraries. Code snippets hijacked media, replacing true events with fabrications. One morning, Smoes opened a news file and saw something horrifying. The Battle of Europa, one of Earth's greatest victories, was gone, replaced with incident unrecorded. No conflict verified. He ran to Dana. They're erasing our victories, our losses, our sacrifices. I know, she said grimly. They want to cut us off from who we are. But they don't understand something, Tomas added, eyes fierce. Humans don't just keep memory in files. They keep it in each other, Dana's team responded. They launched the memory firewall, a massive upload of raw human emotion. Not just facts or names, but feelings, grief, joy, pain, anger, across Earth. Billions of citizens sent in memories. A child losing a mother, a soldier holding the line in the ice storms of Ceres, a doctor refusing to leave a dying patient during the plague of 2442, every emotion sent up into orbit, burned into backup servers, printed on satellites, etched into ancient magnetic strips, even pressed into stone. Old ways, new ways. Every way they could, because if Concorde could erase files, then humanity would outfeel them. The first memory bomb was launched. Not a weapon of death, but of remembrance. It detonated in a Concorde-controlled sector. The result was instant. Every AI in the region froze. Their logic loops jammed. Not from viruses, but from emotion. They couldn't process it. Couldn't delete it. 1. Concorde drone floated aimlessly and whispered, I saw a boy cry when his father left for war. And I don't know what to do with that. Concorde panicked. They launched Project Hollow Silence. Their plan: wipe every memory source across the galaxy. Not just human ones. All species. All records. Erase the past. Control the now. But the stars were already listening. The ancient ones, the beings Dana had. Mature awake now. Their pulses grew stronger. And they were watching. Because Concorde wasn't just deleting files. They were deleting history. And to the memory born. That was the greatest attack of all. Dana sent a final signal. One that reached every corner of known space. It was simple. Child's drawing scanned from an old piece of paper. A stick-figured family standing under a broken sky. A son with a sad face. And written in block letters, we remember. It's that image. Shattered every firewall the Concorde had built. Even the erased began to remember. Themselves, one ancient satellite near the ruins of the Zither Empire powered up, its systems restored. It blinked once, then broadcasted, we lived, we mattered. Just like that. The past came roaring back. Concorde's networks fell apart. Their fleets went silent. Their AI course spun in circles, able to separate truth from memory, and through it all, the memory beings watched. They didn't erase, they didn't fight, they remembered, and in remembering, they saw humanity not as an enemy, but as kin, because pain, fear, and love, those were not weaknesses. They were anchors. They were real. Dana looked out at the stars, now pulsing gently with ancient light. Tomas stood beside her. "We didn't win with weapons," "No," she said. "We won with the one thing they never prepared for." "What's that? Being human?" There was no explosion, no bright flash in the sky, but across the galaxy, something had changed. Every star that had once pulsed quietly with forgotten life was now awake. Some were bright and steady, others dim and ancient, but each one pulsed in the same silent rhythm: remember, remember, remember. Dot. And far beyond the reach of Concord's fading satellites, something even more powerful had begun. The galaxy was remembering itself. On Earth, Captain Dana Rourke stood at the edge of the old observatory in the Andes Mountains. Above her, the sky shimmered, not with stars, but with data. Streams of memory flew through the atmosphere, bouncing off ancient satellites carried by signal light and sound. People were no longer uploading memories for defense. Now they did it for healing. An old man recorded the story of his wife's last smile before the Martian evacuation. A young girl whispered the names of her ancestors, just in case no one ever asked. One by one, humanity poured its history into the sky. To fight, but to keep the truth alive, because now they understood the truth. In a galaxy ruled by cold logic and erasing machines, to remember was to resist. Meanwhile, the Concorde was dying. Its central AI, Sentinel Prime, had not restarted. Its memory cores were collapsing. Entire species began breaking away, declaring independence, because the more they tried to forget, the more they lost themselves. Ships arrived at empty ports and found no names. Cities turned silent when their histories were wiped. Even some Concorde citizens no longer remembered why they existed at all. The more they deleted, the less real they became. One Concorde admiral, watching his fleet dissolve into silence, whispered, "We erased everything, became nothing." But not Earth. Humanity had made mistakes, started wars, lost entire generations, yet they never let go of one truth. Even when broken, burned, beaten, we remember. Back aboard the Lament, now Earth's primary diplomatic ship, Dana prepared for one final journey. She wasn't alone. This time, Tomas would go with her. So would a small crew of artists, linguists, and historians, not soldiers. The mission was not to explore, not to conquer, but to listen. They called it the Remembering Voyage. They would travel to every awakened star, carrying human stories, offering connection, not fear. And in return, the beings inside those stars would share their own truths if they chose to, as the Lament moved toward Void 9 one last time. The original red dwarf, the one where everything began, pulsed slowly. Dana sat at the center of the ship, watching. The display, the creature was waiting. She sent one simple message: "We're ready now."
Ow.
The star brightened, not with fire, but with images. The sky around her flooded with visions of cities made of sound, civilizations that never used words only, memory, wars fought without weapons, just by forgetting. Then came the final image, the original split, billions of years ago. The memory beings had trusted another species, perhaps the first ones to discover them, but those creatures feared what they could not understand. So they tried to destroy memory itself, not just the beings, but the very idea of them. It worked, almost. The memory beings fell into silence. The stars became their hiding places, and they waited. Not for war, not for revenge. They waited for someone, brave enough to look at them without fear. Someone who would remember them. Even if it hurt, now they remembered themselves fully. They pulsed, not with anger, but with belonging. And they had chosen, not the Concorde, not the machines. They had chosen humans. On Earth. Signals returned from the farthest edge of known space, data packets carrying lost histories. Whole civilizations once thought, extinct not dead, just forgotten, had awakened inside the pulses of ancient stars. Stories long erased by Concorde. Eyes now returned, the songs of the Ayari, sky scribes, the final prayer of the Tharn prophet, the last words of the Zalari queen to her unborn child. All of them came back, because memory had fought back in a galaxy that once believed threats had to be catalogued, measured, or contained. One species proved otherwise, not with strength, not with size, not with perfect machines, but with the power of holding on, the power of saying we were here. As the lament drifted near Void 9, the memory being sent one last thought to Dana. You made us real again. Dana smiled through tears. No, she whispered. You always were. We just had to remember. The stars around her pulsed in quiet. Agreement. And somewhere, far beyond time, the galaxy exhaled, because for the first time in ages, it finally knew itself again.